What is up, YouTube? Today we're back with another Ethereum restart video. This is going to be covering the new shell drop boss, Carrion Khloros. And I gotta tell you, this boss is pretty dang hard if you don't know the mechanics. So I'm going to quickly go over, my team and my setup and all my stats. But before I do that, I do want to thank Ethereum for sponsoring today's video. So huge shout out to them. But nonetheless, I have 3-star cleared the Inferno under 1 minute already. And if you are curious in terms of what the team I used to do so, you can go into my profile and you can see under Khloros, you can see that I'm running Lily, Yeli, Viper, and Ninfoniel. Now, to show you guys the stats before we start, I'm going to quickly show you my Lily. Now, she is going to be at 351 speed. Now, you might be thinking, oh my god, it's so fast. It's unrelatable. Like, listen, I ran her at 320 for my first clear with Heinrich, and it was like 56-second clear. So put your top speed gear on her. It doesn't have to be 351, okay? Like 320, 330, whatever, even less than that, it's going to work perfectly fine, okay? Now, Yeli is going to be one of the most crucial DPS here. If you don't have Yeli, you can replace her with Lilium. This is the build that I'm running at 5.1, 77 crit, 259 crit damage on Revelation, which is mandatory. And I do want to say that if you are able to run Harvest is actually going to be a little bit better on Yeli if you have that kind of gear laying around. I personally do not. And I have tried to actually run a Onslaught Yeli, sorry, not Onslaught, a Bloodbath Yeli. She just lacks the damage. It's kind of like a DPS check for Khloros, since Plume is not released yet, obviously. So I really do not recommend the Bloodbath because she just nukes you through the Bloodbath and it just kind of shits on you, right? Now, the other unit that's very important here is going to be Ninfoniel. Now, I've been a Ninfoniel hater since the day she came out, but you're going to want to have her on Codex of Magic. You're going to want her on Swift Rush. I just have her on Bulwark because this is another set that I have on somebody else. But basically, 277 speed so that you don't cut in front of your Yeli after the Lily goes for the S2. And she's here to provide the attack buff, the barrier, the immunity, because there's a lot of debuffs that Khloros is going to throw at you. Okay. Now, for Viper, if I can find Viper, here we go. He is going to be at 262, 264 effectiveness. Time Weave is going to be your best set to go with because it can reduce the cooldown of all ally skills by 1 turn, right? So it's very, very useful. I opted to go for 12 Time Weave, 8 Swift Rush with Ether Plague instead of, 12 and then 8 Time Weave because the Time Weave buff is just so valuable, right? At 262 speed, you're still going to be perfectly okay. And I'm going with Artisan and I haven't had any troubles, so that's the build that I'm going with. Now that you know the stats, I'm going to show you guys the run and what that looks like. So let's go over there right now. All right, so I'm going to quickly explain the mechanics of the boss and how it works. Okay, you can obviously read the boss mechanics, but it's a little bit confusing in terms of, what is what, right? So he has this unique effect here that's called Soul Binders, okay? So he detonates when removed upon expiration, he basically nukes you, right? He just one-shots you. You can't bloodbath it, you can't tank it, it's not possible, okay? Everyone that tanks this down, they just die like a dog, okay? So basically you have 10 turns to kill the boss, right? Now, why do I bring this up? That's why Viper is so helpful, because the Viper has the strip with the speed down by 30%, right? The more that you can slow the boss down, the easier it is for you to clear this boss, right? Because he's going to cycle less. The timer is going to be take way longer, right? Compared to someone like Heinrich. Heinrich does have the strip, and he has the last words to amplify the damage, so that for like a speed run, Heinrich is definitely the favorable choice. But if you're looking for like your first clears or consistent clears, you're definitely going to want to have the attack down and the speed down from Viper, and he's easier to build. He's an SR, and overall he's just also gives you better survivability with his passive effect by having the damage mitigation of 30%. Right now, going back to his skills, he has this nuke ability as well, apart from Soulbinder, which is called Shadow Rift. Now, Shadow Rift, what that does is he basically nukes one of your units. The reason why Khloros has a little bit of RNG in this floor is because if he randomly targets your Lily, or your Yeli rather, you're just gonna die. Like, there's literally nothing you could do. It's unpreventable death, right? She can't tank it. I've tried running Bloodbath, she just gets nuked, right? Unless you have your barrier up, then you can tank it. But then I ran into the problem when I ran Bloodbath Yeli, I just didn't have enough damage, right? So if you have like a super cracked Bloodbath set, then maybe it's fine, right? And that's that nuke I was talking about with the Petrify, right? You can see that skill go on cooldown, which is called Shadow Rush right here, right? You can see that now go on cooldown. So all you got to do is basically just rush the boss down before he gets this timer of Soulbinder down to 0. Because once it hits 0, you are quite literally dead as fuck. There's really nothing you can do. But yeah, Yeli is definitely the best here. His single target attacks are also speed down. And obviously he has yeah, he has the speed down, which is really, really problematic, which is why Ninfoniel is really good in this shell drop stage, because the immunity and the barrier with the attack buff helps you have, you know, permanent uptime on damage increase, and also you get really good survivability with the barriers and the immunity from the speed down that Khloros would tag onto you, which then means his Soulbinder would be able to proc faster, right? And this looks like I'm about to get wiped here. Oh, not quite. I actually tanked. I'm fine. So the Soulbinder, you can see it goes on another reset. And then I think my Yeli is going to be able to finish it off here now. So 70% completion success rate, or whatever you call it. Very nice. Alright, so this is going to be a sample run of what an auto is going to look like. So you're going to want to have Viper. Obviously, everything needs to be tuned based on the stat that I had. Now, Ninfoniel is going to go here for the attack buff and the barrier. And then Viper needs to strip off these debuffs and land speed down, right? If he has no attack down, you can play through it. No speed down, it makes it really hard. And the other check is the Yeli gets the defense break on S3. Now, again, like I said, if you don't have Yeli, you can go for Lilium, right? Lilium is going to work just as good. And something I do want to say is that if you don't have Viper, you can obviously go for Heinrich, but obviously Viper is way easier to build than Heinrich, obviously, and not everybody has the LDs. But this run, or this shell drop, is very subject to RNG because you need a strip, you need to land debuffs, you need Yeli to also do extra attacks, which looks like my Yeli just ripped through him and cleared in 49 seconds. I think that might be a new PB. So that was kind of insane. Well, yeah, speaking of, I'm actually in the clear time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm like rank 11 for clears in Inferno Khloros. And that's basically the run. And I do want to talk about what if you do not have, you know, these characters, right? Lily, I think, is pretty much mandatory until Plume comes out, but I do want to show you guys what a run looks like where if you don't have Yeli, or maybe Ninfoniel, which I think is kind of crazy, but you can also see these runs as well. Now, bear in mind, any runs that you see in the high scores are going to have characters that are 5 out of 5. Like, Start of War is a known whale, 5 out of 5, you know, that it's just what it is, right? If you're going for high scores, you need 5 out of 5, but even if you're not 5 out of 5, it's fine, okay? If you're looking for a setup where it involves Lilium, we can watch this run by Oni. And you basically run a double debuff setup where Lilium obviously does not have a defense break on her own. So you're going to want to run Lily, and then Heinrich is going to be able to land the strip. And the really crucial thing about Heinrich is he has the block and he has last words, right? Which increases the damage, increases crit damage taken, right? Which helps a lot with stacking damage, and then hacking progress from the boss as well does a ton of damage. And Law of Silence is basically going to be mandatory on the Lilium, as you can see here, because Lilium is really great for this support because she's immune to debuffs, right? She doesn't worry, you don't have to worry about her getting debuff or controlled whatsoever. And so she's just able to rip through the Khloros so heavily here. And just look, you're basically like 3-shotting it, right? Now, are you able to replicate the same Lilium? I sure can't. I don't even own Lilium. But if you can, then you can definitely run this kind of setup as well. And honestly, Khloros is not as bad as Inferno Rango, I gotta tell you that. When Inferno Rango first came out, he was fucking impossible to beat. Or when we first got there, obviously, right? Back in the day, like 2 months ago or whatever it was. But that's basically all of the stats and all of the comps. And if you guys are having any trouble, just know that Etheria, they have created a problem and they're selling a solution, right? Plume obviously is going to be able to replace Lily, and you can run a double DPS setup instead of a solo DPS setup. So some will probably make a video or speedrun video with Plume when she comes out. But for now, you're going to want to run Lily with Yeli or Lilium, and then Viper or Heinrich. And then if you're running the Lilium setup, you're going to want Khloros over Ninfoniel. If you're running Yeli, then you're going to go with Ninfoniel like I have done here in this run. But once again, if you guys did enjoy, please consider dropping a like and comment for the algorithm. I didn't want to take this too long. And thank you to Etheria for sponsoring today's video. And I hope you guys have a good one. See you in the next video. Bye!